This piece of wasteland in Lewisham is to have 33 new homes and flats built here. They will be high quality, energy efficient, and are being kept affordable because to live here you can help to build them and you don't need previous building experience. The small estate will be a collaboration between a small group of self-builders, Lewisham Council and the Rural Urban Synthesis Society, who are the pioneers behind this self-build idea.
We selected the residents via ballot. We're going to build homes of mixed tenure, so there's going to be some social rents, some affordable rents, some shared ownership, shared equities. This idea of building a sustainable community, so we're trying to build to a high standard in terms of environmental standards.
Our main contractor will be coming in to put in foundations, drains and so on in the ground, and then following on with the envelope of the building itself, the walls, floors and roof. Our self-builders will be coming in then and fitting each of the dwellings to suit their own particular layout and requirements and so on. So they'll be doing partitions, doors, bathrooms, kitchens, wiring, plumbing, that kind of thing.
Emma Leach is about to build her new home here with her partner. It's a one-bedroom flat.
I've never been on a building site, but I'm very practical, I'm good with my hands and I'm really keen to learn. There'll always be a foreman on site. What we'll have is a kind of basic training, so we'll know how to be safe, and then there'll be things like toolbox talks, which is where they give you a little talk about how to use a certain tool, how to do a certain thing that we'll be working on that day, and then we'll do the work, supervise, and we'll have the work checked off.
The houses will be built primarily with wood instead of bricks, and the idea is already working well in Europe, but it was pioneered for the first time in this country here in Lewisham in the late 1970s by the German architect Walter Segal.
It was entirely designed for laymen. It was necessary for them just simply to jump over the normal conventions of producing and drawing plans which require a different degree of knowledge, understanding and so on. It was drawn and conceived so that with no knowledge you could understand how to make plans.
Walter's pioneering methods were thought of as very radical at the time. Architect John Broome worked on those early schemes and believes they can still work today.
The idea of groups of people making their own places and living and working together was absolutely part of what he was interested in promoting. I've been building with timber all my career, and it's got an enormous amount of benefits, especially in a self-build context. It's easy to use, people can saw it, drive nails and so on, you know. I'm very much an enthusiast for that way of building because I think it's got huge potential because it is genuinely simple and economical to build.
Walter's Way in Lewisham, named after the architect, is one of those early self-build estates. Dave Days had no building experience at the time but built his family home there. Had you ever built anything before?
Put up a shelf for my mum's house. Did a little bit of painting and decorating, but that's it. Had nothing to do with anything to do with building a house. I got this machete. That was the first tool they gave us to come and clear the land with 13 other families. 12 other families, because I'm the 13th. Basically, Walter Segal gave us a folder. And he said, do not look at the whole folder, just take a page at a time and do it systematically, then you don't panic. And that's what we did. We just did a page at a time, and each page led to the next bit. Walter Segal said that all you need to be able to do is cut a straight line with a saw, drill a straight hole, you can build your own house. And that's it. Well, what was nice about the house was that all the walls are non-load bearing.
What does that mean?
Well, basically you can unbolt the walls and the house still stands. So all the internal walls, you can move them around. So if, for instance, for us, we started building the house with 2 children, a 2- and a 3-year-olds, and by the time we finished it, it was a 3rd one, and then 5 years later, a 4th one arrived. So the house had to kind of morph to adjust to the change in size. And Walter Segal said, the house should fit your needs. So as your needs change, the house should change, and so it has.
It's more than 30 years since Dave helped build Walter's Way, but the brand new estate planned across the borough will still be constructed using the same principles.
Walter's approach to building in timber was to use commonly available materials from the builder's merchant pretty much as you find them on the shelf as far as possible. So combining materials in that way carries over into present techniques. What's different is that buildings are much better insulated, much more airtight. So we would anticipate at Church Grove that their heating bills will be negligible. They'll be 20 quid a year or something. The other significant area is also sustainability. So the materials are used, recycled newspaper for insulation, avoiding toxic plastic-based insulation and so on.
So it seems the new estate should be eco-friendly, with bills kept to a minimum. But how does buying a 1-bedroom flat here compare to market rates in Lewisham?
I think about 300,000 is probably what you're looking at for a 1-bed. And here with the shared equity and the self-build discount, then I'll be paying just over 200. But for some people in the scheme, you can buy a minimum 25% share on a 1-bed for 77,500. So that is seriously less.
We did a thing in the House of Commons, and Lewisham stood up and said, we've got a scheme that we're going to build 33 houses. And one of the MPs stood up. He said, 33 houses? We don't need 33 houses, we need hundreds, we need thousands. And that's the message. We do need thousands of these type of schemes up and down the country to kick this housing problem to the long grass.
I see the next kind of frontier for the sector, community-led housing, is to have a large scheme with like 100+ homes. I think that's really when we're going to see this taken seriously, when we can demonstrate that it can be delivered on scale.
Encourage people within their boroughs, within their locale, to get skilled up and build their own houses. And it's still government land, and you've got communities. Look at this community here. This is 30 years on, and it's a strong community.
Walter's Way is a living testament that this idea works. So surely it could be the forerunner for lots of other estates like this. Affordable, energy efficient, and above all, rather beautiful.